Alton Towers has seen the birth and demise of several legendary rides, each leaving its mark and shaping the theme park we know today. Journey through time to unearth the tales of these lost rides that once sent pulses racing, offering a glimpse into the park's ever-evolving and dynamic history. Premiering in 1988 and costing the park £1 million, the Alton Mouse is the roller coaster with the shortest lifespan at Alton Towers. Officially opened by Kylie Minogue, it was situated in Talbot Street behind the towers. The bright orange track of the Alton Mouse was one of the 3 rides that made up the infamous Coaster Corner, close to the Flag Tower, in a now off-limits area. Manufactured by Vekoma, this Wild Mouse coaster featured a unique tilted lift hill. This was due to a spinning tunnel enclosing riders at its previous home in Vienna. Starting with that tilted lift hill, the ride climbed to 56 feet and traversed that layout of hairpin turns and swooping drops before returning to the station. Unfortunately, the Coaster Corner area of the park was too close to the neighbouring Alton Village, and noise from the coaster led to a number of complaints. The Alton Mouse was removed at the end of 1991. The ride was relocated to Idlewild Park in Pennsylvania, where it can still be ridden to this day. When it opened in 1990, Thunder Looper was located in a brand new area of the park. Close to the car park, Thunder Valley gave visitors a reason to alight at the Skyride turnaround station. Upon exiting, they would see trains being launched through the giant loop of the Thunder Looper. When it arrived at Alton Towers, the ride had already spent a number of years at King's Dominion as King Cobra, opening there in 1977. Fondly remembered by many, Thunder Looper was a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop, launching riders forwards through the vertical loop, up a spike, before it would coast backwards and through the loop again, up a second spike, and roll into the station brakes. Costing £2 million to install, the roller coaster had an unusual method of launch. Unlike today's LSM launched rides, Thunder Looper's trains reached the top speed of 53 miles an hour using a dropping weight attached to a pulley and catch car. While a popular ride, Thunder Looper's fate was determined by one of the main problems faced by Alton Towers: planning. The ride was so tall even the loop could be seen above the tree line, something that the strict restrictions placed upon the park do not allow. The attraction was also extremely noisy, living up to its Thunder name. Not only was this bothersome to local residents, but affected livestock, causing them to calve at the wrong time of the year. The opening of the Alton Towers Hotel further compounded the noise issue, with guests getting an unwanted wake-up call during morning testing. The temporary planning permission was not renewed, and Thunder Looper left the park after the 1996 season. It was replaced by the relocated pirate ship the Blade and Ripsaw. After leaving Alton Towers, Thunder Looper found a home at Hopi Hari in Sao Paulo, where it operates today as Catapult, with an extensive Superman theme. The Alton Beast, the new Beast. One ride, many names. One of 2 new installations for the 1988 season, the Alton Beast joined the Alton Mouse and the older 4-man Bob in Coaster Corner at the back of Talbot Street. Featuring dark green track and light green supports, the roller coaster was the new star of the area. Starting with a spiral lift hill, riders raced through shallow drops and high-speed turns, reaching speeds of 44 miles an hour. The ride was a Schwarzkopf Jetstar 3 model, and was purchased by the park without trains. Black hole trains were coupled together for use on the Beast, and new trains were purchased for the older indoor ride. The Alton Beast survived the closure of Coaster Corner. After operating there for 4 years, it was returned to the manufacturer for a refurbishment. When it returned, it sported a fresh red and white colour scheme. The ride was erected in Thunder Valley, running with brand new trains and an updated name, the New Beast. Time was called in 1997, and the ride retired at the end of that season, leaving a hole in the park that would eventually be filled by air. Many rumours surrounding the ride existed. The similarity of the spiral lift hill led some to believe it was the same ride as the Black Hole. It was also suggested that the beast erected in Thunder Valley was a different ride. However, park maintenance staff have confirmed that identical track welds made in park were visible on both. Following the removal from Alton Towers, the beast opened at Divertido in Mexico as Space Mountain. This indoor roller coaster bore a striking resemblance to the Black Hole, its sister coaster at Alton Towers. Its final location was a park in Colombia, where it operated as Tornado until 2017. Opening in 1984 and located in Fantasy World, the Black Hole gave very little away to guests when it premiered at the park. An air of mystery surrounded the Black Hole, as guests snaked their way through the outdoor queue line, before entering the large striped tent. Once inside, they found themselves aboard a futuristic spaceship, ready to climb into single-car trains. The trains took riders up a slow, spiralling lift hill before plunging them into the Black Hole. Racing round high-speed turns, the darkness of outer space was briefly interrupted by laser beams and asteroids. Costing £2 million, the Black Hole was a Schwarzkopf Jetstar 2 model, built inside a green and yellow tent. This coaster in the dark was a hit with guests, being the second major coaster to open at the park. Long lines would form due to the limited capacity of the single-car trains. This was rectified for the 1988 season, with the track being reprofiled and now running 2-car trains. The new Black Hole would continue to thrill guests, and in 1996 received a slight retheme, featuring a golden Jules Verne-style station. When Oblivion opened in 1998, the area surrounding it became X-Sector, and the Black Hole tent was repainted a deep blue to better fit the new land. Being one of the earliest roller coasters at the park, it was showing its age, and the last rides took place on the 5th of May 2005. The Black Hole was dismantled the following season, and its tent sat empty. Occasionally used for Halloween Scarefest mazes, it was eventually demolished in 2012 to make way for the Smiler, the world's first 14-looping roller coaster. The Black Hole eventually made its way to Sweden as Rocket for Örvik between 2011 and 2021. (1994) was a bumper year at Alton Towers. Tussauds was keen to expand on well-themed experiences at the park and add attractions that provided an immersive story-led journey. Thrill seekers twisted upside down on Nemesis and Forbidden Valley, while families could take a whimsical journey through a colourful toy factory on Toyland Tours. Guests would start their journey at the edge of the land of make-believe, passing a colourful facade and making their way into the factory. There they would find the SS Toyland Tours, a paddle steamer and station for the magical boat ride. Boarding one of the 9-passenger boats, visitors would sail past colourful scenes and many characters as they journeyed deeper into the factory. Following a brief interruption by Sonic the Hedgehog, boats emerged into the finale party room before a busty hippo wished them a fond farewell. Toyland Tours was the retheme of the older Around the World in 80 Days attraction that had opened in 1981. This World Tour boat ride closed at the end of 1993, and its ride system was reused for the journey through the magical toy factory. While some effects were not working in later years, it was unexpectedly announced that Toyland Tours would close midway through the 2005 season, making way for a replacement. The following year, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory the ride opened utilising the same ride system. The water channel was slightly rerouted to create a new offload station, and 2 glass elevators were constructed as a finale to the experience. Charlie never seemed to capture the imagination of guests as much as the predecessor, and Toyland Tours is still fondly remembered by park guests. The first roller coaster at Alton Towers, the Corkscrew, is the one that started it all. 1980 was the year that John Broome decided to open Alton Towers as the UK's first theme park, and the Corkscrew was the standout ride that helped him do that. Situated in Talbot Centre, the yellow double corkscrews of the Vekoma ride drew national media attention. guests waited for hours to ride Corkscrew, and park visitor numbers doubled from 500,000 to over 1 million in its opening year. In its early years, the Corkscrew became an unofficial symbol for the park, and its success paved the way for many future attractions. The 75-foot-high Corkscrew reached speeds of 40 miles an hour while racing through the swooping curves and double inversion. Becoming a nostalgic classic, the roller coaster survived well into the new millennium, spending 28 years at the resort. When it came time to leave, the iconic double corkscrews were retained and displayed at the park entrance as a lasting tribute to the ride that started it all. The location of Corkscrew became the station for 13 upon its opening at the resort in 2010. Born at a time when a simple flat ride still featured a massive marketing campaign, Submission replaced Energizer and X-Sector for the 2001 season. The dramatic and intimidating motion of Submission was exciting to watch, and the visual appeal fit well into the area of the park adjacent to Oblivion. Featuring two back-to-back arms, guests were seated in one of two 24-passenger gondolas. These would swing backwards and forwards in a hypnotic motion, twisting and inverting riders at the top of the swing. Unfortunately, while intimidating to watch, the ride never really offered the true thrill it promised, and the uncomfortable restraints further took away from the experience. Either due to popularity, maintenance, or staffing reasons, in its later years Submission only ran one of its gondolas, which reduced the visual appeal somewhat. Even the opening of the Smiler in 2013 did little to revive the attraction's popularity, and Submission was removed from the park in early 2014, replaced by a grassy lawn. The site has more recently been used as the location for a number of the Retro Squad travelling funfair rides. Fresh from the success of the Corkscrew in 1980, John Broome knew he needed another headline attraction to capture the public's imagination and keep them coming back to the new theme park. The 1981 edition would be the Wild Water Flume, the world's longest log flume. This custom ride featured 3 drops and 2,600 foot of waterways as it snaked its way through the woods of the park. Featuring an impressive turntable station, guests boarded log-shaped boats for the 6-minute journey. After splashing down the final drop, they could even order an on-ride photo to be posted to their home address. In 1984, the dinosaurs displaced from Fantasy World were placed around the ride, adding something to look at while the boats made their way through the woods. But by the early 2000s, the ride was looking rather tired. The log flume, as it was known by then, closed at the end of 2003, ready for a refresh. And in 2004, it opened as the Flume Unplugged. Gone were the brown logs, and in their place, bright red bathtubs complete with golden taps. Bath Time with Attitude was the new theme, and the Flume received bouncy new music, power showers, and plenty of rubber ducks. Along with 4 other attractions, the log flume closed at the end of 2015. After sitting there for most of the following season, the flume began to be removed in November. The area where it once stood would eventually be home to Wicker Man, but if you look closely, remnants of the old log flume can still be spotted deep in the woods. Ripsaw joined the lineup in Forbidden Valley in 1997, following the removal of the Thunder Loop of the prior year. Benefiting from a marketing budget usually reserved for major roller coasters, this Hoos Topspin was heavily themed with a detailed backstory. Ripsaw, a piece of shrapnel thrown from the Nemesis pit, thrilled riders with a disorientating experience that often included a soaking detox. The 40-passenger gondola featured 2 rows of seats suspended between arms that rotated to send riders spinning and flipping, before lowering them headfirst into a series of fountains to the delight of onlookers. The attraction was an absolute hit with guests. Not only did it offer an exhilarating experience, the visual appeal brought a kinetic energy to Forbidden Valley. Despite being a fan favourite, the ride suffered from downtime in its later years. The number of programmes Ripsaw could run was reduced, and parts of the theming were removed altogether. When it was announced in 2015 that 5 rides would not open the following season, Ripsaw was one of them. The following year, the area that once held the must-do attraction became home to pay-per-play games, before becoming the site of Funk and Fly, part of the Retro Squad. One of the longest operating flat rides at Alton Towers, Enterprise began its life in Festival Park in 1984. This travelling ride was initially brought in to absorb some of the crowds from the nearby Corkscrew, and featured a bright yellow and white colour scheme. Upon entering one of 20 ride cars, guests were sometimes shocked to find that the ride featured no restraints. 2 riders could share one car, and the sliding cage door was closed and locked. Enterprise would begin to spin, with the cars swinging out to the side, before the hydraulic arm would lift the full wheel skyward. Reaching an almost vertical angle, it was only the ride's forces that held the guests in their seats. It moved around Festival Park, before finding a home in X Sector in 1998. X Sector was created with the introduction of Oblivion, and Enterprise received some muted colours to fit its sinister theme. It fit perfectly within the final curve of the dive coaster. Despite a repaint and some new parts for 2013 for the opening of the Smiler, towards the end of its life, maintenance became more necessary, and downtime was extended past the winter close season. The last rides were enjoyed at the end of 2021, and the ride sat dismantled during the 2022 season. Alton Towers confirmed on Twitter that Enterprise was no longer at the resort, ending a 38-season run at the park. The following year, the area of X Sector was used by Twistertron, itself one of the travelling funfair rides that made up the Retro Squad. For over 40 years, the attractions at Alton Towers have been thrilling guests, weaving their tale into the story of the resort. As the park continues to evolve, many more will disappear from the map, becoming part of Alton Towers history, waiting to be discovered once more when somebody asks, what was there before?